Now that you've completed Chapter 5, Section 1, here's the notes for Chapter 5, Section 2. Our objective today is given a point, any point, with the ordered pair x and y, and a slope. Remember, we use the variable m to identify slope. Write the equation of a line. If we're writing an equation, we're not just writing any kind of equation. Remember, the equation we're looking for is slope-intercept equation. That means y equals mx plus b. In the first section, all we had to do was substitute the slope number that goes in for m and the y-intercept, a number that would go in for b. In the second section, we're not given the slope and the intercept. We're only given the slope and a point. There are two methods. You can either solve and write the equation of a line with graphing, or you could try doing it without graphing, solely by using the formula. In the first example, I'm going to use graphing. Notice I'm given the ordered pair 6 and 2. My x-axis goes right and left, so it's a positive 6, and it'll go right. The y-axis goes up and down. Notice positive y goes up, negative y would go down. Since my point is 6, 2, my point goes to the right 6 and up 2. Now I've plotted my point. I have to use my slope. Remember m for mountain slope. I have to use my slope of 1/2 to locate my next point. I need my next point to determine what the y-intercept of this line could be. Positive 1 tells me I'm rising up 1, and a positive 2 tells me I'm going to the right 2. From the point I was given, I go up 1 and over 2. Now I'm at positive 7, positive 3. Notice my first point is at 6, 2. My second point's at 7, 3. And my third point is at 10, 4. Now that I have 3 points, I'm going to draw my line. It may be hard to tell where my y-intercept is, so I'm going to use my slope to go in the other direction. Instead of going up 1 and to the right 2, I can go down 1 and to the left 2. Notice I'll land on the same line because I used a double negative. This is easier because I can find my y-intercept exact location. Notice the y-intercept is on the y-axis, located at, you guessed it, -1. I'm going to fill that in. The y-intercept is a value. It's also a special point. The y-intercept is when x is 0. If we were using the formula, we'd plug in 0 for x. But this time we're coming up with the formula and writing the equation. So we have to use what we've got. To write the equation of a line, I need 2 pieces of information. I've got the y-intercept at -1, so I'm going to put it on the line after x. And I was given the slope. The slope goes in front of x. So my final equation is y equals 1/2 x plus -1. Now in some cases you might see it written in a textbook y equals 1/2 x minus 1 because the positive and the negative together make a negative. We like to write it as a minus. Sometimes you might see it written as y equals x over 2 minus 1. Since the 1 and the x combine to make a 1x in the numerator, it can be written as x over 2. Now, that was the graphing method. If I want to try without graphing, I would still take the same point of 6, 2 and substitute the values into y equals mx plus b. Notice the 6 is the first number in the ordered pair, which represents x. The 2 is the second number in the ordered pair, which represents y. I'm going to substitute what I've been given. I can't forget my slope. The slope was 1/2, and the 1/2 is going to go in place of m. So now I have an equation that will read 2 equals 1/2 times 6 plus b. Notice the m and x together mean multiplication. I just used parentheses to show multiplication. If you're wondering what 1/2 of 6 is, because that fraction kind of scares you, just think of it this way. You can type it in as 0.5 times 6 in your calculator, or ask yourself, what is half of 6? You guessed it, half of 6 is 3. So 2 equals 3 plus b. But my objective, remember, is to get the equation of a line, and I'm not quite there yet. I have to solve for the y-intercept, also known as the variable b. That's my goal. So I've got to get rid of one of the letters, either the 2 or the 3. But ask yourself, which one's connected to b? You guessed it, it's the -3 that I have to use to get rid of that +3. Since 3 and -3 are opposites, they cancel out to make 0. 2 minus 3, or 2 plus -3, makes a -1. So my y-intercept's -1. I have a y-intercept of -1, just like I did when I graphed it. Given the slope of 1/2, I place that in front of the x as well, and I've arrived at the same answer. So whether you graph or you don't graph, whether you use the formula or don't use the formula, you could still write the equation of a line. Let's try another example. This time, in my second example, I'd like to start with the formula and try to solve and write this equation of my line using the formula, y equals mx plus b. That's my slope-intercept form. 3 will go in for x. 5 will go in for my y. Remember, ordered pairs are x and y. Think of the alphabet. X before y. -2/3 will go in place of my slope, in place of m. I'm replacing the letter m with -2/3. If you're going to multiply the fractions, remember, make 3 a fraction by putting it over 1. Multiply numerator to numerator and denominator to denominator. So -2 times 3 makes -6, and 3 times 1 makes 3. Just remember you can simplify. -6 over 3 becomes -2. But as you guessed it, I need to find the y-intercept, so I've got to get rid of that -2. The opposite of -2 is +2. But if I add 2 to -2, they'll cancel out. Means I have to also add 2 to the 5 on the other side of the equation. My result is my y-intercept is +7. I place it on the line after the x. Because remember, it's slope-intercept form. The intercept goes after the slope. My slope was -2/3. I place that in front of x. There's more than one way you can write it. You can write it as y equals -2x over 3 plus 7, or -2/3 x plus 7. So I've tried this one without graphing, using the formula to write the equation. Now I'm going to try to prove that I got the right equation by graphing. 3, 5 goes right 3 and up 5 from the origin. Remember, that's 0, 0. I place my first point, and I need to use my slope of negative 2/3 to locate my next point. Negative 2 tells me I'm going down 2. And a positive 3 tells me my run will go to the right 3. I'll place my next point there. If I continue the pattern of down 2 and to the right 3, I'll have another ordered pair of 9, positive 1. So I've got 3 points, 3, 5, 5, 3, and 9, 1. Now I've got to draw my line. Take your time and draw your line. Make sure that you adjust it. Use a ruler so you get the most accurate line. Again, if you're not sure where the y-intercept is, because your line may not seem quite right, use the slope in the opposite direction. Instead of down 2, go up 2 and to the left 3. So if I go up 2 and to the left 3, and then up 2 and to the left 3 again, notice I get 2 more points. One of them is the y-intercept. And I believe you can figure out where that crosses the y-axis. You guessed it, at positive 7. There's my y-intercept. Now I know for sure I've got half of this equation correct. Luckily, the other half is the slope. And I was given the slope of negative 2/3. I place that in front of my x. And the positive 7, that y-intercept, goes after. Now there's a third example, but I'm going to save you the trouble and ask you to try this one on your own.